What's up, weirdos? I'm Felicia and I like scary movies, and today I am here to introduce the July Horror Movie Club theme, and that is Vincent Price month. I'm so excited about this. I know it's summer, which is like kind of the opposite of like coziness, but I've been really craving a cozy month of spooky movies, and now is our time, people. I even made myself a cup of tea for this video. This is my happy Halloween cup. Halloween is messed up this year. I will not get over it. But yeah, so you guys know typically for these horror movie club trailers, I do like kind of a silly video or something, and I couldn't really think of anything, so I decided just to tell you a little bit about Vincent Price's life for the trailer. And if you don't know what Horror Movie Club is, I guess I should start with that. It is a live stream series where here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we talk about a different movie on my channel. So each month has a different theme. The first movie of the month I typically choose, and then you guys all vote on the rest of them. So more on that in a second. Let's talk a little bit about good old Vinny Price. I don't know if anyone called him that. Probably not. If we're talking about coziness, I also had to get Toby up here. Also, he was just making a lot of noise over there. So can you be here and be quiet? Yeah? Okay. He's here. He's quiet. All right. So I think I was first introduced to Vincent Price. If I'm being truly honest, I think it was Edward Scissorhands, where he plays the old man inventor. And I remember I love Tim Burton. I've always loved Tim Burton since I was a little kid, but I think that was my first introduction, and then somewhere along the way I just knew that he was a horror icon. I knew his spooky voice from Thriller. I knew him as his appearances he made on different TV shows as like the spooky guy, you know what I mean? And so like I always loved that about him. I loved his aesthetic, I loved his mustache, I loved that he was like creepy yet cozy. I don't know why I keep saying that word recently, but that's how he feels to me. I'd also like to know what your first introduction to Vincent Price was. Was it one of his classic movies? Was it him appearing on a TV show? Was it Thriller? You know, anything, let me know down below. Now, let's get into it. So Vincent Price was born on May 27th, 1911 in Missouri, and he was the youngest of 4 children. And he was born to a very wealthy, well-to-do family. So his father, who was Vincent Leonard Price Sr., was the president of National Candy Company, which is like very Willy Wonka in my mind. I don't know if it was like that, probably not. And his grandfather, Vincent Clarence Price, we got a lot of Vincent Prices, he invented Dr. Price's baking powder, which is the first cream of tartar sauce. Tartar? I don't know. And so they had a pretty serious family fortune. And I honestly feel like him being from that like kind of wealthy, uppity background probably influenced his acting style of like the way he drew out words and like the way he held and carried himself. So he did not start out as an actor. In 1933, he graduated from Yale with a degree in English and a minor in art history. He actually ended up teaching at Yale for a little bit after that, which is very cool. But then he decided he wanted to go to the Courtauld Institute of Art in London. He wanted a master's degree in fine arts. And this comes up a lot in his life, this love of art history, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in a hot second here. But during his time there, he got introduced to theater and fell in love. Been there, baby. So he started doing theater in London and then came over to the States to do theater. And his first movie role was Service Deluxe, which came out in 1938. But I would say the first role that sort of solidified him in the Hollywood community was Tower of London, where he played Duke of Clarence. And that, while it was only his 3rd film, was already his first introduction to the horror genre. Boris Karloff was also in that movie. And then right after that, the next year, he played the title character in The Invisible Man Returns. So he pretty much immediately got into the horror genre, and I think a lot of that is like the way he uses language, the way he draws out words, his like sort of like spooky eyebrows, I'll say. I think Travis has spooky eyebrows. It's a thing. He was extremely tall as well. Oh, how tall is he? Yeah, he was 6'4", so he's like this super tall dude with this interesting way of speaking, these spooky eyebrows. Like, he was meant for horror. He just was. So of course we can't forget that Vincent Price did a lot more than just horror. He was in over 200 films, says his IMDb, which really do range in genre, but horror is what he became definitely the most known for. And I think and I could be wrong about this. This is just me sort of like assessing his credits. I'm also going to link a couple of documentaries that are chilling on YouTube for you guys to watch before Tuesday or anytime this month if you're interested, just to learn a little bit more background about old Vincent Price. But from what I'm looking at on his IMDb, it seems like The Fly. So once we get to the 50s, 1958 to late 50s, we have The Fly, we have House on Haunted Hill, we have The Tingler. At this point, he's working with these really prolific horror directors like William Castle and Kurt Newman. He then starts doing some Roger Corman movies based on Edgar Allan Poe stories. It's just like he gets into this world of this like spooky gothic horror, and he's so good at it that people just keep wanting to see him in those roles. But I think really what it was is he just had this special way of playing villains that was like, yes, spooky, archetypal, but also three-dimensional and full of heart. So that just made him so perfect for these roles, and I am so excited to explore that all with you the rest of the month. I'm also just going to mention a couple other things that I don't know if are going to come up throughout the month about Vincent Price, but he was sort of a Renaissance man. He had a lot of different talents. Yes, of course, as an actor, but also we already mentioned the art history. He had a huge art collection in his house, and he also partnered with Sears at one point for many years, 1962 to 71. And he hosted this thing called the Vincent Price Collection of Fine Art, which was sort of the first time that fine art prints were being sold to the general masses in America. And he like sort of was like behind that movement, which I think is very cool. He was also known for being on a lot of game shows. I don't know a lot about that, but I saw a few clips. It's fun. He is a wine expert. He's also a very accomplished cook. He has many cookbooks, like at least 4, and he had a short-lived cooking show. And the last little bit I want to go into is sort of about his like personal beliefs and such, I'll say. I found out a little bit of conflicting information about this. One is that he seemed to be fairly progressive about a lot of things, especially extremely progressive for his time. He went on live television and publicly denounced racism and religious prejudice. His daughter came out to him as gay. He was very supportive of it. He even appeared in some of the very first public service announcements discussing AIDS. He was like one of the first celebrities to come onto those ads. He seems like a very progressive guy, and this probably will, I don't know if this is going to come again, so I'm going to mention it now. He did marry 3 times. It was kind of a ladies' man. Like each time he married, he was definitely leaving his current wife for his new wife. That's kind of how it was going down. But his daughter is also quoted as saying, "She is as close to certain as I can be that my dad had physically intimate relationships with men." And I was just kind of like, I love Hollywood. But I did find some information, and I think this is from his daughter's biography, that in his early life he was a Nazi sympathizer and anti-Semitic. This is, of course, a huge bummer to hear that about someone that is so important to our genre, but I do think it's important to mention it. I think it's important not to just hold people up on a high pedestal and be like, everything they did was perfect. It's like, well, no, actually it wasn't. But I don't think it necessarily has to affect how we look at his movies this coming month, because we are looking at them in a critical eye of filmmaking and acting and spooky scary. So not to put a downer on this Horror Movie Club month, I just found that information and I thought it was, I don't know, important to say. And I guess for the final part of his life, the Edward Scissorhands film was one of his last movies. I think it was one of his last performances. And even while he was on the set, he had a very difficult time. The role of the inventor was supposed to be a much larger role in the movie, but he was very sick. He had emphysema and Parkinson's, and so he really could only do as much as he did. And then in 1993, he did die of lung cancer, I think at the age of 82. Okay, and I think that's it. So this is how it goes, people. The first movie we are checking out this month is House on Haunted Hill. This is the 1959 film directed by William Castle, and the rest of the month is up to you. So down below in the description box, I will link a survey where you guys can go vote for the rest of the month. If I am missing any films on there that you guys want to vote for, please leave a comment down below or send me a DM on Twitter and I will add it. But the voting ends at the end of Horror Movie Club on Tuesday when we are talking about House on Haunted Hill. Okay, I didn't drink any of my tea because I was just talking a lot. And before I wrap up this video, I do want to say that not only is July my 2-year anniversary on YouTube, we're killing it, it's also the 1-year anniversary of Horror Movie Club. So to all of you that have been here since the beginning, thank you so much. To those of you who just got here, Thank you so much. This has been a really fun ride, and we're still on it, baby. All right, see y'all on Tuesday, and have a nice scream. Bye.